We'll wait just a couple more minutes and let folks come in. I'm gonna see.
Yeah, I'm going to probably be the only guy from my team, the SIG Docs Chinese localization team. And we had a meeting on Saturday, actually my time Friday night, their time Saturday morning. We talk about the issue about um, Dusty in the SIG Docs tool channel. He
Mm-hmm.
communicated with the French team about how it works, like potentially going to migrate to the how can I say the manage the Kubernetes cluster. Right now, it's actually hosted separately on his own account.
Mm-hmm. As I saw in the French channel that they were talking about transifex and using what the translation workflow management that the Chinese localization team uses with Istio. Did I freeze? Did Roy freeze?
Actually, no.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's totally me. I'm looking at I run a console window in one corner of my laptop, so specifically so I can tell whose fault it is when they're laggy, and yeah, it's totally me. Yeah, I saw the French team was talking about adopting the Chinese workflow for their own localization project.
Oh, we actually don't use transfix. We're using the. I'm actually thinking to using transfix the way is because to reduce the efforts and increase more collaborations. Because right now, how the flow it works is one big issue, and you're actually going to be solely responsible to get the initial draft, and you get the feedback from the team, and then you improve on the iteration thing. It's actually, if you think for like 100 lines, that's not a big deal. But if it's like 1,000 lines, that's actually tremendous efforts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually more thinking from the transfix in that way to increase more collaborations to make sure these things not discourage people to contribute. Things like that.
Right, right. That's I know the French team were talking about transifex and saying that it was good for producing like a rough draft from which to then like work. That it was that it reduced that initial barrier for them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, if you want, we can start a POC to see how it works. And I actually want to drive on that. I mean, we're actually talking about or briefly touch about that as well, because right now, we actually come back from the Spring Festival. People can like go back to work, and they actually have a heavy load of work for the new year. So we're trying to get things sorted out.
Cool. I would love to see. I'd love to see a proof of concept. I'd love to see. I would love to see a demo of. I I would love to see a demo of like the Istio process and like what that looks like for Kubernetes. I know like last week, I think you had prepared a demo, and I was like, no, don't do that here. But I think it would be really helpful to see a demo. Um, I guess we can find a time when that makes sense. When that makes sense to do, if that's something that you'd be interested in doing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, it is 7:04, so I'm gonna already recording. Yeehaw! That's someone I think forgot flip the switch to auto record when we start, and I guess the first 5 minutes of this meeting will be us gabbing. So hello, internet. This is what we do with our time. All right, today is Tuesday, February 26th, and this is the weekly meeting of Kubernetes SIG Docs. We are meeting at 7 p.m. because it's a fourth Tuesday, and we do that specifically to make it easier for folks in Asia Pacific regions to join us and contribute. Junyi, I see you there. Hello. Always good to see you.
Hello, good to see you.
Qiming, hello. Good to see you too. All right. I see no new contributors yet. Let's go to updates and reminders. Zach Arnold, ZP Arnold on GitHub is wrangling PRs this week. Raji was our PR wrangler last week. Thank you, Raji. Let's see, let's go to the agenda. So when we met at our end of year planning session at KubeCon in Seattle in December of last year, we decided that we would meet on a quarterly basis going forward. And I wanted to make sure that folks in this meeting time saw that we are going to meet on March 28th from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. Specifically to make it a little easier for folks to join. Oh dear, I see I'm losing packets again. How much of that came through?
I think it all came through to me.
Okay. So yes, our next quarterly planning meeting will be online. We're meeting on the 28th of March from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific. I will send out invitations this week, and I will put out a call on Slack just to check in with folks and make sure that folks get invitations. Okay. So let me see if I can get a link for this next item. I want to give folks an update. It's not directly related to SIG Docs, but it sort of falls into our work. Hey, Claudia. There is a proposal sort of in the works right now for Kubernetes projects, the Kubernetes related projects like Kind to host their documentation as subdomains off of kubernetes.io. And in order to do that, there's an open question about what the workflow for that should look like, what subdomain hosting should look like, how much of that SIG doc should own, how much of that we could be involved in, how much we should be involved in. And that is proceeding pretty well. Let's see. I'm going to put a link in the agenda here. This is a comment on the issue. If you're interested in learning more, I've pasted a link to the discussion onto the agenda. So basically, what it's looking like right now is that we need to do some cleanup with Netlify, but it's pretty straightforward. And there's no real impact to SIG Docs. We'll do some basic setup, and then things like subdomain projects, new subdomains, subdomain documentation will be set up and maintained by the Kubernetes org repo and by folks sort of responsible at the Kubernetes project level. So if you see things like kind.kates.io or things like that, don't worry about it. It's normal. That's a project that's ongoing. It's good to be aware of, but the end result is that awareness is all that's required. We don't have to do anything there. Hey, Brad.
Hello.
Hey, Brad.
Good
All right.
morning.
I think that's really all I have on the agenda for this week. Is there anything that folks would like to talk about? Otherwise, this may be like the shortest meeting ever, but is there something that folks would like to discuss in the time that we have?
How is the release going for the 1.14 or something?
So as far as I know, it's going very well. I saw Jim Angel, who's the release lead for Docs, posted in the SIG Docs channel earlier, and he sent out the reminder that placeholder PRs, that deadline is on this Friday, March 1st. So things look to be running very well. I'm not aware of anything that looks out of order. And when I have checked in with Jim, things seem to be going well. Like the release shadows I see them all out working. Cody, actually, I know you're a shadow this release. Do you want to say anything about 1.14?
Yeah, everything seems to be going on track. All of the shadows now have access to the tracking sheet. It was a little bit of a blocker earlier, but we all have access, and we're, at least I've been updating what I can. Out of the 7 that I originally had, it looks like 2 won't be making it to the release stage. 1 already has docs completed, 1 has docs appear in, and then 2 more have to get back to me regarding that. But as far as my part goes, it's going well.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you for that update.
And another thing I want to talk about is, are we going to have a doc sprint in KubeCon Shanghai?
Yes. 1 second, I'm sorry. Hang on. Someone is trying to join, and they're having trouble with the Zoom link. I'm just going to grab this Zoom link really quick and paste it to them. There, thanks for your patience. So yes, for Shanghai, so I have applied for a main track time slot for time to do an intro and a deep dive. So that will give us, I think, a combined total of 80 minutes, which may not be enough time to get into our usual level of deep dive. So I guess that's an open question: is do we want to do that combo intro and deep dive session and like a community day like we did last year, or do we want to just do one? What do you think? Do you think it's worthwhile to do both, or like just do the like the 80 minutes in the main track, or like do a separate community day as well like we did last year?
I'm fine either way. I'm more open this question for folks to engage more ideas.
Okay. Let's see, Roy, can I ask you to like ask your team how they feel about it?
Yeah, I did ask.
Oh, okay. What did they say?
I think they are very good. They're very happy to have. I think right now we're actually sorting out how to sorting out the issue tracking. That's our main focus, because right, I think they're probably you know that before we actually have a separate repo. Right now, migrate to using a central website repo, and the counting actually get lost. So that actually needs to be sorted out before jumping to the topic. But they want to have more engagement with the community as well. That's for sure. Does that answer your question?
So I guess I'm My question is, how does your team feel about doing a doc sprint at KubeCon Shanghai? Do they have a preference either to do like a shorter slot for 80 minutes or a longer slot or both?
I actually didn't ask the exact format. I more just like casually raise these options, like, but they actually prioritize low versus like counting. How can I say, like sort out the contributions right now is sort of like more quantify the current work. Right now, there's no good communication, like inside this group. Like people contribute and then they slack and then they don't feel like they get involved, and things like that are actually more important than the. It's more like engaging the current group. That's actually the topic we mostly talk about last weekend. I casually raised this point. Probably I can bring this up again this weekend too.
Okay. If there's anything that that we can do to help more with engagement, that's a discussion I'm happy to have.
Okay.
And anything that we can do to help provide more opportunities for folks. Yeah. If there's any help, please let us know.
Sure. I'll certainly keep you posted. Actually, they're doing that right now. Sort of like that's actually involved with some knowledge transfer last weekend too. Like some of the work we did for the previous repo. I actually have a recording. I probably can find a way to share with you guys.
Okay,
yeah.
That would be awesome. Okay, Brad, I see that you are getting started on improving the What is Kubernetes page. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I've just been trying to beef up the actual section that says what is Kubernetes, and then I'm going to try and pull work on the other piece. There's like 3 pieces that are outlined in the issue. Probably the one that I'm not going to get to as much as maybe the one that I think was more on the Andrew flavor, which was how you somehow start pulling the modeling stuff. That part's a little tricky for me. So, my current thought process was, well, let's see if we can improve the what is Kubernetes, improve the what does it mean, and the as a service piece or what have you, and then submit something as a work in progress and see if people can throw tomatoes at it and suggest where I could improve. That's kind of what I was thinking, Zach. I just wanted to get people's input.
Sure. That sounds really good to me. Like having like an open PR, I think that's a really good suggestion, is just opening the PR and then asking for feedback on the work in progress. That sounds really good to me.
Okay, yeah, I figured it's going to be iterative to get it right, because I think different people potentially had different views of what needs to go in there to make the what is Kubernetes better, and I hopefully I felt like we had the flexibility to do it that way, as opposed to I'm just going to show up with something magical and think it's ready to merge. I really felt it was going to be iterative. So I will probably tomorrow get that PR pushed up for people to give their wonderful and kind input on.
This is a group that is wonderful and kind with feedback. So.
Fantastic. I'm looking for lots of feedback. I really do want to make it better, but I just want to make sure I get lots of feedback to make sure I am hitting the mark on whatever the issues were. I mean, I see my view of, oh, it really needs to have X, Y, and Z, but there may be other people who are like, well, yeah, but what we really meant, Brad, is we really wanted you to add this. So does that make sense? That's what I think I'm doing here.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Once you get the PR open, drop a link into Slack and ask for reviews. That's a great way to get visibility on it.
Yep. And then on the other issue that I picked up and owned, which was, I can't remember the exact topic, but it was, we thought there were some other people that would work on it, and I just had to go nag them. I'm thinking I'm going to get stuck with that one, which is fine because I wanted to learn that stuff anyway. So one of the folks promised to review, which was really good. But I think after I do this one, I was interested in the topic anyway, and since nobody else was really stepping up, I'm going to try and write that piece, even though I'm not an expert on it, but I wanted to learn it anyway. So, so that's what I think what's going to happen to the second one of my 2 issues that I promised to work on.
Cool.
So,
and if that second issue like ends up getting unwieldy for whatever reason, of course, feel free to ask for help. And I know that there are folks who would love to contribute, especially like if they have someone to bounce ideas off of or get like kind of direct one-to-one feedback. I know that you could find help, even if you wanted to like take the back seat on it and provide feedback on someone else while they drive.
That would be great too. When I did go nag everybody, the best I got was, "Oh, I'm really busy, but I would be willing to review it." So I was like, "Well, I'll take that," So, but yeah, I'll worry about that one. Maybe I'll do another round of nagging before I go kick it off and see if there's anybody who can contribute a little more on it. But I want to get the first one done anyway.
You mean welcoming invitation, right? Not nagging?
Yes. Is that
invite people with a welcome into contribution?
Yes. That positive welcoming to come contribute. Yes. Excellent. Absolutely. Love it.
I will say, let's ask for let's invite contributors again next week, and see what folks say. I think the attendance may be a little higher next week, and I know that there are a couple folks who are like really eager for like really like specific projects, like JD Palomino.
Fantastic.
Did really good work on that replica set PR that he took on. So I know there are folks who are interested and willing to help. So if you don't hear anything back, I would say let's ask again next week.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for next week. That's excellent. Good idea. Perfect. That's all I had.
Cool. Thank you. Junyi, Claudia, is there anything that you would like to talk about in our remaining time?
For sharing information, we will have our local meetup next week. So we're gonna promote our activity to our local community.
Excellent.
And we are currently working on release 1.13 branch. So we are having 7th iteration for our Korean localization, and I expect we're gonna end our iteration. Our ending iteration will be 8th iteration. That will be matched to the 1.14 release schedule. Okay, awesome. That's it.
Very cool. I'm really excited to hear that.
Thank you.
Claudia, anything to add?
No. Same.
Cheers. Hi, Tamo. Do you want to add anything? Anything you want to discuss?
Hi, no, I've been kind of just lurking on the regular meetings.
That's awesome.
I know that in the previous meetings that I was trying to join this morning, but I know KubeADM is something that people are updating, and I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I'm at Weaveworks, so Lucas Kallstrom, and then soon Lee Kapili will be joining. Well, Lucas has been on our team, but Lee will be joining our team. So I've just been kind of lurking mostly around that to see if, anybody needs sort of like a little push around KubeADM, because that was one of the first things that I mentioned when I kind of moved from IC to managing the developer experience team at Weaveworks is I said, hey, Lucas, there's a lot of like how to get started with KubeADM, and I can't even find like what it is or like how one would sort of get more broad information. And so he was like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. So he did some of that, but I know there's definitely much more to do. So I'm excited that that topic came up. And then since the last contributor summit, I've just been kind of lurking because I was interested in the area where people talked about accessibility in docs, and just in general, I have an interest in that. I have no background in it, so I don't think that's come up as much, but I connected with the people who said they would own that. There's a Oracle woman in India, and I kind of befriended her, but I haven't seen her on this call, so I thought maybe she would join this time zone, but I don't think I see her.
No, that's Raji. I would be happy to introduce you on Slack.
Oh yeah, we met at the conference.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
At KubeCon, and she said she'd sort of take the lead. And I said, oh, okay, I have a lot on my plate. I'm managing a distributed team, but I'm just kind of learning about docs. So I said I'd sort of tag along with her. But then I've been joining these calls, but I haven't seen her or haven't seen anything about the accessibility goals come up, at least, unless I missed something. So
thank you. No, you haven't missed anything, no accessibility developments, but that does remind me that that's a conversation to follow up on. So I will take an action item to follow up with Raji this week and find out sort of where she is with it, because it does matter, and it's something that I would like to see us drive forward on. I tell you what, I will invite you.
I have a quick update on that actually.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Raji actually has a complete working draft. She's gonna send it out to me. I was in that group too. She said she'll send it out today. I can try and make sure you get looped in on that too.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Yes, please. Thank you.
Very cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Oh, so let me get a quick note on that. Follow up. Draft. Okay. Anything else to talk about? Last call. All right. That's a SIG meeting, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good week. Have a good night. Have a good morning.
Thank you. Good night.
Good. Bye.
Bye.